So I'll wander through here.
Nancho's had to enforce the masks after the scandal.
Right, let's see if we can get a listen on this. Uncover the identity. Okay, let's see. Someone was sick. Political crisis. Cheating.
Nancho's had to enforce the masks after...
Oh, wrong one. Can't remember what the third one was.
Nancho's had to
Fired. People described a scandal from a previous party. Vice Governor Cowden was found by his wife-to-be, a Prussian duchess, in the company of young men. Although the marriage was intended to be a political one, the emotions of the duchess were real. The incident instigated a political crisis between Cardona and Prussia. Although there were only a few notes of protest, the governor fired his protege.
That's what I like about this party. Bring me more dirt, Sherry. One more piece, and I can expose these base hedonists.
Honey, you feeling lonely? I'll be your friend.
Okay. Brian Cree, thank you for almost 4 years.
You know what was here before Nancho's family bought it. Do you know what was here?
Before Mancho's family, the mansion was owned by an occultist architect. He dedicated his life to conducting a powerful ritual from the Forgotten Tome, but the ordinary magic circles proved too weak for it. That was why he built this mansion. A keen eye might notice that its shapes correspond with certain magical symbols, and some walls have cavities. Oh yeah. One day, the architect simply disappeared. An ash stain on the floor was all that remained. Perhaps he was successful in his endeavour.
I'll pin them down with this scoop. Thank you, Sherlock.
John challenged 1, yellow press. Okay. John's extremely grateful for my help. Key to the altar room. Vogue gave me a key so I could talk to someone named Fabio in the altar room. The key to the altar room. Right, so I've got to do that first. Got to find the altar room.
Curtains do not guarantee privacy.
And you still need a crack, despite being ethereal.
I'm coming, Sherry. Just give me another second.
Don't act like you haven't thought about it, darling.
Okay.
Codex Orchis. Why does this occult book sound like a flower? Romantic poetry and prose. Someone's in touch with their feelings. These medieval botany and chemistry books look even more satanic than the occult ones. well-known and recent plays to keep up to date with the current trends.
One of these books must open a secret passage. I know it.
I kind of agree with him. These walls have definitely got a secret passage. Man, this is fancy. Well, Rip.
My God. Was he here this whole time?
Do you reckon that's the architect? Key to the altar room of Ancho's mansion. It's Fabio.
The herbs here are Salvia divinorum. They have a slight hallucinogenic effect to emphasize the ceremony. This elaborate box must be for the ritual dagger.
Well done, Sherlock.
This oil has a slight aroma of flowers and olive. The sign reminds me of the astrological symbol for Mars. This one looks like a twisted symbol of Venus, drawn in a hurry.
It's like the male and female symbol.
A blunt force trauma may have suffered an internal hemorrhage.
Now, why would they have to smack him over the head just to get him to lie down quietly? Which means he didn't go voluntarily, right?
This crude tattoo partially covers as slave branding. This golden handle has a bloodstain on it. The dagger is heavy and sharp, but lacks balance.
Only Sherlock would say something like that. This is clearly the dagger that murdered him, but it's not very well made. It's not even balanced properly.
The wound is deep. A precise strike reached the heart. This worm-like sigil has been drawn with his own blood. The victim has clenched the fabric so firmly in his fist that it's nigh impossible to remove it. He died right here.
He died right here. Well done. He's good, isn't he?
Enough cigars to burn down the entire mansion. Why don't people tidy up after themselves? An open wound spoiled the carpet. Blood. A sturdy bottle met a not-so-sturdy human. It didn't break only because it was unopened.
Smoking lounge with blood on the bottle. Is that what was used to smack him over the head by any chance?
Handcrafted and luxurious cufflinks. There's also a note. For my Fabio. Manchos.
Guess he never got those. He kind of, to me, it looks like something that wasn't planned. It just happened.
Would you recognise me in one of these? I suppose not.
Maybe he was killed for something he found out or knew. Where's the third clue?
The key is similar to the one that Vogel gave me. The capital F on the key fob might refer to Fabio.
Performers' preparation tables. So he was one of the performers then.
Similar to the guests' robes, apart from the bloodstains. Props, decorations, and tools for a more detailed set. Identical to the robes the guests are wearing. The pitcher is empty, but with puddles around it.
I doubt he fell on his own knife in a perfect placed heart position and then drew a sigil on his own body in blood. I don't... somebody smacked him over the head, murdered him, and then wrote a sigil in blood on him as a sacrifice.
Blood clots are adhered to the sides of the drain. This is a different ritual.
I found a scenario of some sort of ritual with a remark written in the beginning. It says, read and rehearse this rite, Manchos. Naked woman lies on the altar on a bed of flowers symbolizing Mother Gaia. The one who leads the ritual oils the body of the woman to awaken her inner fertility. Participants should chant at this moment and call for the man who can please Mother Gaia. Then the man will impersonate the principle of life, may come to engage in sexual congress with her. They're well into the rituals here, aren't they?
A useful tool for a disguise arsenal.
Don't ignore the guests, Matista, and stop boring them. They don't want to hear about your stupidities. They want to feel how beautiful they are and how generous you can be towards them. You are here to please and celebrate life. Remember, each guest paid a great deal to be with you.
How can anyone accept such behaviour?
Spacebar on my keyboard's being a bit weird. Hang on. Oh, it has a hooking mechanism. It really doesn't want to go back on. There we go. I think I have to pop that up first. There's like a spring that comes up, and then I think it hooks onto this thing somehow. If you don't hook it on the spring, you press it down, it doesn't come back up. What happened? I just managed to knock it off somehow. Oh, I see. I thought I'd broken a piece off, but actually, that's why it won't go on. There's like a little plastic thing that attaches into here, and that hooks on the spring somehow. That is not easy to fix. Basically, there's a spring, an arm on a spring, and it's got two hooks like that. And then on the space key, there's two slots, and you have to basically get the hook in the slot, which is easy. But then the other one, you have to obviously push the spring out to then get that in the slot, so it goes in like that. So you get one side in easy enough, but getting the other side in a little bit more involved. That is a real pain, actually. Kids do it all the time at work. They're a pain putting space bars in properly. Yep. That is actually a real pain. Right, I've done one side. I'll have to do the other side after. That's going to be annoying. I need to lift the keyboard up and look what's going on to try and fix that. Luckily, I don't need the space key that much for this game. God, it's a frustrating design. Oh my God, we've got so many clues. Right, we need to talk to somebody about that. This one is still got a symbol on it. Search the location. So we've still not found something in relation to this key. John Mill, thank you for 66. And ASC, thank you for 10 months. Tessor, thanks for 33. Thank you guys, as ever, for your support. Smoking lounge, a private room where guests can smoke in comfort. There were droplets of blood on the carpet. A wine bottle stained blood. That is an observation and pin this evidence. Use concentration. Okay, hang on. So there's something missing back in that room with the wine. Oh, there you go.
The wounded person was here for some time. A bloody handprint on an armchair. A person leaned against the doorframe. They left a smudged trail of blood. There appear to be no further traces leading to the altar.
Well, that's interesting. Not sure who we're going to talk to about the body, but there's this one's bugging me. The key to the altar room. Missing something here. talk to him in a second about the body. What's this?
The ointment smells mouse-like. I presume it is an aphrodisiac prepared from a Spanish fly.
Okay, right. Talk to him about that then.
Werner, care to explain what is going on here?
On nights like these, it's not unusual for some attendees to get a little exuberant. It's part of the appeal. Unfortunately, it appears things have gotten out of hand. Yes, some are more prone to bend the rules of morality.
That's murder. I doubt there's anything left to bend. Why did you not tell me immediately? We were chatting about trivial matters for some time.
If I'm completely honest, Sherlock, I've consumed a rather potent cocktail of substances. My attention slips and drifts. But I'm glad I thought to call for you.
You sent me a disguise.
Oh dear, did I? Well, since I found the body, Mr. Manchios has agreed that you can investigate the matter. I promise my mind will behave itself going forward.
All right. Pull yourself together, Werner. Mr. Manchios is the owner of the manor, yes?
And the host of Cordona's most memorable parties. He promises even the ugliest guest a partner for the night. And for the ones with more unconventional tastes, Mr. Manchios provides other services.
What a caring person.
You cannot begin to imagine.
How did you discover the body? In between guzzles of alcohol?
I was set to perform in a fecundity rite with Fabio and came to inquire further. It was a staged ritual where he was to play the principle of life.
And the rehearsal was unsuccessful?
Who knows? I found him alone on the altar, his blood dripping to the floor.
And then?
Then I called Mr. Manchios. He was panicking, so I told him about you. We left the room and locked the door. Then we were
Filling time?
waiting for you was stressful. We indulged in some simple comforts. Overindulged, perhaps.
While this guy lay dead in the room.
Were you well acquainted with Fabio, the victim?
Everyone knew Fabio, or wanted to. His beauty was the talk of the island. Too handsome to go unnoticed. He was magnetic. Fat wallets fought for the privilege of having him. He offered the pleasures of performance, and more.
What about the fertility ritual? There was something about Fabio being a principle of life.
Fabio was supposed to portray the beauty of life's origin. Flowers, oil. Not this travesty that seems straight out of the Inquisition.
So this ritual is not the fertility rite. What was it meant to look like?
It begins with a woman lying naked in a flower bed on the altar. She represents Gaia, the earth. As I cover her in oils, we chant for the principle. As our calls reach a climax, Fabio enters and copulates with her. After he finishes, I stab her with a dagger. That part's just pretend, of course.
But the intercourse is not?
I did not expect you to be such a prude. Are you a virgin? It is nothing to be ashamed of, but it would explain the color of your cheeks. The fertility rite marks the start of our festivities. The principle of life is beautiful, intimate, essential. It must not be stopped.
Yet it appears that someone did stop it. What about the naked woman? Can you tell me anything about her?
Oh yes, Matista. She's one of Fabio's compatriots and a performer too. I haven't seen her today, actually.
Mr. Zenham, thank you for 56. The Bomb 11 MT, thank you for 5.
When you discovered the body, was the door open?
No, it was locked. Oh, that reminds me. It's a minor detail, but the first time I came to speak to Fabio, I left without entering, having been unable to open the door.
You didn't have the key?
No, I had it. Don't look at me like that. I was mostly sober. I suspect there was a key in the other side of the door, blocking the lock.
That detail may very well be major, Werner. Well done. So you returned later only to find the lock was not blocked?
Correct. After an hour had passed, I tried again and was able to unlock the door. That's when I discovered poor, handsome Fabio.
So the question then becomes, whoever was in there, how did they get out?
The police remain unaware of this tragic event?
Some of them may be hiding behind their masks. They conceal many things. But we didn't want the authorities to create more problems. Besides, after a few cocktails, their incompetence will have soared to new heights.
How do you know I even want the case?
I promised you relaxation. If there's one thing I know about you, Sherlock, it's that nothing soothes you more than a good mystery.
So, Sherry, do you have any ideas about the case?
Perhaps. I think I can deduce what happened here.
Hidden tunnels, indeed. Okay. So it starts off by somebody putting the key in the door, or an unknown person puts the key in the door. Oh, this is tricky. Or somebody holds on to the door. So who is it that puts the key in the door? That's the question. Is it Fabio or is it somebody else? Let's assume it's somebody else for now. Somebody hits him over the head while he's lying here. Or somebody fights with him. Much more likely. It's got to be the stabber at that part. They're already knocked out. Or semi-unconscious. Let's go back here. Somebody puts the stuff in the wardrobe. Fabio puts his stuff in the wardrobe. Well, if you assume he was murdered, it's got to be that. Removed his clothes and put it in the wardrobe. Fabio then washes his hands or the clothes or something. Okay, so this person smacks him over the head with a bottle. Or stabs him there. That's possible. Is it possible that he was stabbed here and then hit over the head later? Or was he hit over the head here and stabbed at the altar? I kind of feel like that's more likely. Did they drag him? There's a bloody hand on the wall there. Is that his? Did he put his hand on that? And then the wall? Why would he put his left hand there? Did he crawl away? That's an awkward angle for a hand for somebody to reach up and somehow put it at that angle. That's clearly a left handprint. So it has to be that, because it's a left handprint. And that one is a right handprint. So it doesn't explain that one. Let's see what he thinks about that.
The bottle was used as a weapon during a scuffle in the smoking lounge. Then, to ensure no one would interrupt, the murderer locked the door. The unconscious body of the victim was moved to the altar room. Once the body was on the altar, the murderer thrust the dagger into the victim's heart. Symbols were drawn with the blood. The wardrobe was used to hide the bloodied robe from anyone's eyes. The killer washed himself and took a clean robe from the hanger before leaving.
Are you all right? You're on the floor, not moving.
I think I know what happened here.
Fabio's murder. Okay, Fabio's key remains untouched. Still on the performer's table. Fabio died on the altar. Fabio was assaulted in a nearby room. The murderer had a key to the altar room. He did indeed. The murderer was in possession of a key to the altar room and locked the door. Correct. Fabio was sacrificed on the altar during an occult ritual. Ooh, Fabio was killed in a ritual murder. Fabio was sacrificed on the altar during an occult ritual. I don't think that was true. The ritual was staged. It was a cover to true the murder. I think it's this. I don't think anybody else was there. I mean, there's no evidence to say that there was anybody else there. I think it was a big cover-up. So what you guys think? Okay. They don't link yet. So we need more clues now. So I've got two things to focus on. It's clear the murderer had a key. If I found out who had a key to the altar room, I'll shrink the circle of suspects. We need to talk to somebody about that. We can ask him about that.
I'm starting to put the pieces together.
Fabio was stabbed.
I see nothing gets past you, Werner. Yes, he was stabbed, but only after being knocked out in the next room and placed here. I do not yet know why.
So, who's responsible?
Well, it was one person working alone, and the murderer has now donned a robe. He or she could be hiding in plain sight. We have lost time, Werner, but your discretion may prove to be a benediction after all.
Thank you, Jens. 39. 3+ years and a third of a Twitch baby. Right, evidence. It's clear that the murderer had a key.
The murderer had to have access to this room. After the crime, he used his own key to lock the door. So, who had the key to the altar room?
I'm not sure. As a special guest, I was provided one by Mr. Manchios. He should be able to tell you of any others.
Where can I find him?
Most likely in the main hall, entertaining his guests. He has a mask with golden stars. You can't miss him. But please be discreet. We don't want to risk disturbing the revelry.
Okay. Who's got golden stars then? It's kind of hard to see golden stars, to be honest.
I'm a little nervous. Another glass should calm me down.
Thought you had golden stars, apparently not. You just have golden stars all over your forehead. Have I got the right clue selected? That person's definitely got golden stars on their mask. What about you? You've got a golden star as well. You're not chatty.
Oh, I heard the finale will be splendid. I need a rest from my insatiable wife.
My husband thinks I am playing bridge here.
How foolish of him. He trusted you. What an idiot. I can't find this person we're meant to talk to.
I like wearing this mask.
Can you satisfy my curiosity? I have nothing to hide, sir, but I've never heard of this.
You've nothing to hide, but you're wearing a golden mask. Okay. What about the guy playing the piano? Okay, this is weird. The king also Vogel told me he saw him in the hall. The man wears a mask with golden stars and is most probably still nervous after the discovery of the body. So somebody that looks nervous and has golden stars on the mask, right? That's what we're looking for. This is stupid. Actually, half a dozen people in here have golden stars.
I should write to my friend about the handsome men here. He'd appreciate it.
How can you see who's handsome? They've all got a mask.
Let me see that stallion up close.
Help me, please.
Excuse me, what?
Right, it's
not
none
sure
of
I
them
know.
three. He doesn't have golden stars, but that doesn't seem to matter.
Handsome. I see that look in your eyes.
It's the guy with the cup in the middle. That's who I thought it was, but I've already tried chatting
Kurt
with him.
Manchios, I presume. I'm Sherlock Holmes.
Oh, you must be the one Werner told me about. What a sweet voice you have. It must belong to a handsome young man. Can I call you Sherlock?
As you wish, Mr. Manchios.
What's with the voice?
Mr. Vogel asked me to help you. The body in the altar room requires answers, and quickly. I suspect the murderer to still be here.
What? Lower your voice. I don't want anyone to hear us.
His voice, man. What about Fabio, who had access to the altar?
I need to find all those who had the key to the altar room. As far as I know, Mr. Vogel, Fabio, and you had access to it. Is that correct?
That is correct, yes. Also, Matista and Santos.
Santos. Who is that?
Santos Pinchetti, my major domo. In his opinion, at least.
I'd like to speak to Mr. Pinchetti and Matista. Do you have somewhere I might have a private conversation with them?
Of course, of course. Let me think. Matista is entertaining the guests somewhere, and Santos... Oh, yes. He will be busy with the servants. Or the cook. What's that noise? What's going on?
It's a raid.
Freeze, filth. You're under arrest.
Great timing for the police to turn up. It's a full SWAT team assault. Look at this. Is this part of the thing? Wait, did they just shoot rose petals? What the heck? Is this normal police practice? This does seem a little bit extreme. Oh my god, they're just going in the full ham, aren't they? All to the theme of Swan Lake. Well, at least he didn't get kicked down the stairs. That's a bonus.
committed a crime, and now I have to free you, kiss your hand, and apologise for the inconvenience. Your Grace.
I did tell you that Mr. Vogel and I were innocent. I emphasized it in my statement.
Your statement? Thanks to some bigwigs who work for the so-called good of the country by releasing fleas like you. Thank God we have Vogel in his letter. Once I get to that goldfish, I'll...
Bigwig? Ah, my wretched brother Mycroft and his long nose.
Wait, did you say Mycroft? Mycroft Holmes? Are you the youngest son of Violet Holmes, rest her soul?
You knew my mother?
Not personally, no. Not exactly. I was working on the paperwork for that case.
Would you happen to remember anything of the events?
Well, I didn't make the inquiry, but I remember seeing some notes. Why?
Perhaps we can negotiate. I could be quite useful.
Huh. Got you hooked, right? You know what? Stark and the others think they're the smartest here, thanks to you. Let me get this straight. Are you listening to me, lad?
I'm all ears.
Take this case. Report to me only, to Constable Harvey Oswald. I'll leave everything I have on this table. Find the murderer. Be a real copper. Question the suspects, make them sing, give me something substantial.
And if Mr. Vogel is not a suspect?
If he's innocent, then you can take your favourite degenerate away from here. If you slip or mess with the evidence, then trust me, your brother won't save you from my bludgeon. Meanwhile, I'll be checking the archive for you. If anybody asks, then you're a consulting detective.
Let's make a start then, partner.
I'm glad we managed to get the scoop before the raid.
Quite like this Prince of Darkness outfit. I think I'll leave it on. Following a report from witness of satanic ritual who claimed to have found a body, the raid on the Manchos mansions was granted. It resulted in the arrest of multiple suspects, dispersal of the group in mass, and robes caught in acts of gross indecency and unnatural behaviour. The body of the victim was found lying on an altar with a knife wound in his chest. The officers identified the victim, Fabio, 20, a local performer and artist. Arrested suspects, Vogel, had a letter of an insulting nature in his possession which had been written by the victim. He claims to have found the body. He is infamous for eccentric personality. A letter written by the victim. Sherlock Holmes carried a murder weapon, a dagger with the victim's blood and other items of evidence. He was invited by another suspect, Vogel, presumably to obstruct the official investigation. Manchos, the owner of the mansion and organizer of the Satanic Party, paid the victim to participate in the ritual, had access to the crime scene. Matista, Fabio's partner and participants in the ritual, tried to escape, resisted arrest, owned a book with a description of the ritual performed in the altar. Some of the guests are temporarily detained for further questioning.
Back on track to solve the case.
Witness disposition. I, Santos Vignetti, am a witness to the reports of suspicion of a murder at Manchos Mansion in Grand Surrey. During preparations for the social party, I heard loud noises from the closed altar room. Immediately I thought of the sacrifice of a living being overviewed by none other than Kurt Manchos. There was blood on the wall, strange symbols, and a dagger in the heart. As soon as I was able to think clearly, I rushed to the police station to report my findings. The station responded to the deposition, sent a patrol while the witness left the station. That's interesting. So Santos reckons he heard it all. Saw Kurt Manchos overviewing the whole thing and then ran to the police. So that kind of says it's not Santos. Maybe. Unless he did the murder, then ran to the police station and went, "Look, there's a murder." The provider of the ticket has permission to inspect all evidence on case 62-60. Lovely. Okay. Fabio was assaulted in a nearby room. Don't have enough clues for that one yet. I wish I could give John the same outfit. Pinchetti is a suspect. Pinchetti is a suspect who should be arrested and questioned. He had a key, which he did not mention in his deposition. Yes, that's true. He did have a key. Don't think there's any more we can do though. Okay, we don't have any more clues. Oh, there's a lot of people need talking to. Fabio received expensive cufflinks as a gift, as a present from Manchos, probably for performing. Vogel is under arrest since he is one of the primary suspects. The witness deposition, we need to talk to him about the lack of key. Okay. Are we allowed to just walk out of here then?
Look, I found Werner.
Werner, are you all right?
Oh, yes, yes. Everything's fine. In fact, it's something of a family reunion. My brother spent quite some time in this place himself.
You should not be here. I told the police everything I knew, but they refused to let you go. They require proof to free you.
Ha! What did you expect? The mighty Sherlock Holmes swans in, tells the officers what to think, and the world obeys?
Of course not. Anyway, I struck a deal with the constable, and I've got a free hand in the investigation. I find proof to solve the case for him. He obtains files about my mother's death for me.
Well done. If one has the power or will and can act, then one must. I wonder, suppose you couldn't get the proof to your truth. Would you tell a lie to the guard that enabled my freedom, knowing my innocence? Would that not be just?
There are lines I will not cross, Werner. I will do my best to secure your release, but with proof, not deception.
Really? How many white lies have you told on this island? Why not for me? Why not another?
That is absurd. I can resolve this without compromises. Do not give up hope.
Evidence. Murderer's key.
I don't think I can tell you anything about this. I'm not supposed to know anything about this. I can't follow you here. I can't follow you here. I'm not supposed to know anything about this.
I have learned who told the police about the crime. It was Santos Pinchetti.
Do I know him?
The major domo of the manor. He cleans up after you?
Well, then he does his job perfectly. All but invisible. I couldn't tell you the first thing about him.
Can we talk to him about anything else?
I know you can untangle this mess.
No, I think he's done.
I'm Sherlock Holmes. I'm helping Constable Oswald. You are Matista, Fabio's friend.
This body, yes, it's Matista. But it's a mere shell that will die someday. Just like Fabio.
Okay.
Please accept my condolences for your friend.
Thank you.
I'm just here to ask questions and find Fabio's murderer.
It will not bring Fabio back.
Time to get judgmental. Obtained recently blood-filled bruises. Inks herself. That's not the same sigil that was on Fabio's body, is it? Nervous. Self-inflicted, old and healing cuts. Burn mark. So Fabio had a similar thing, didn't he? Like a slave mark, which he tattooed over. I think maybe they knew each other before then. Shackle scars, yeah. Punishes herself for her past, disassociated from her body. Matista, the performer, and Fabio's partner have a difficult life. She was branded and enslaved while still a child. When enslaved, she met Fabio. There you go. Hence their similar branding. Old scars are the result of her slavery during adolescence. She continues to be haunted by the traumatic experiences. She has a genuine interest in mysticism. Since she has tattooed her body with occult symbols, Matista tries to get over her past, and the life of performance seems to be an opportunity for her to earn money. Punishes herself for the past or disassociated from her body. Oh, look at this. Look at this voting. Ooh. I think that's the closest it's ever been. I saw 52-48 then. 50-50.
You have both old and new scars. Some from the time when you were a slave with Fabio. Other scars have a different origin. The guests pay good money to torment you?
I am skilled in giving pleasure, but I don't participate in such practices.
I thought your body was...
For sale? It's true. Many unwanted things were done to my body. And the pain helped me to discover...
Occult deities? Yes, the tattoo speaks loudly of it.
Yes. Your gods abandoned me, and the ones I favor now are more protective of me.
How did you escape?
Something happened. One night the master fell down the stairs. I made him fall, and he died. We ran away that day. We managed to get on a ship and traveled here, to Cordona. Fabio and I started a new life here. It was very hard at first, but it became better with time. Until today.
The bruises on your neck are not self-inflicted. Someone else made them.
Some guests can't contain themselves. They even bite, sometimes.
Matista's activity at the party. Matista suffered bruises on her body from brutal interactions with the guests during the party. Fabio bruised Matista during the fight in the smoking lounge. Fabio bruised Matista, or Matista was bruised by the guests. Matista suffered bruises on her body from the brutal interactions. I'm not really sure why Fabio would bruise Matista. They've been friends since childhood. But it is possible that they had a big argument about something and Matista actually murdered Fabio. We can't rule it out yet. Matista had the key. So if it wasn't her, then who was it? See if we can talk to somebody else.
Good day, Mr. Manchios. I am Constable Oswald's partner in this investigation.
Be quick and gentle. Some of your colleagues are untrained boors. Although I don't mind meeting young officers.
Oh, God.
New blood here.
If you cooperate in finding Fabio's murderer, there will be no need to meet with the boars again.
That voice. Werner's friend? You're the policeman. What a disappointment.
Only an undercover agent can scour a ditch full of deviants. I am a consulting detective, although I'm capable of replacing the entire department through my consultations.
Sharp-tongued, I like it. May I presume this tongue will get us out of this trouble? I would be so indebted and glad to repay you.
Nothing's changed. I'm looking for the murderer. That's the only way to get us out of trouble.
But it shouldn't take much time, correct? We're all busy after all.
I need to examine you first.
I need to judge you first. Where's makeup? Rash from exposure to hair dye. Interesting. What's his original color then? Washed hands in a hurry. Soap under fingernails. What was he trying to clean away? Blood? Lavishly expensive quality polished leather. Hides his age or stickler for cleanliness. Oh, what do you think? Obvious. Yeah. Mostly, I think. He's obviously got money. Kurt Manchios is extremely rich, eccentric, and frivolous. He's the organizer of the parties for Cardona's elite and the owner of Manchios Mansion. He spends his life in the company of similarly overprivileged people. However, Mr. Manchios wishes to hide his true age from the younger participants of his parties. He's concerned with aging to the point where he uses makeup and hair dye to look younger.
You are a little over the top with your use of makeup, Mr. Manchios. Is it so difficult for you to acknowledge your age?
Well, Sherlock, that's easy for you to say to an old man when you look as though you are barely 15.
But still, it shouldn't be an issue for someone of your status.
For people of my age, it isn't an issue, no. But the younger ones can be so afraid of wrinkles and grey flecks. I have to adapt.
Such a methodical man who cares for his body but misses the soap under his fingernails. Are you so impatient, or perhaps even impulsive?
I wouldn't call myself that. Silly little details. If I missed it, it wasn't important. Or rather, it was less important than who or what I was focused on.
What was Fabio like? I'd like to know more about the events. Provide evidence.
Mr. Vogel told me a little about your parties, but I would like to know more directly from you.
I'm all yours, Sherlock. You have me arrested and locked here with you alone.
Whom do you invite, or why did you invite Vogel?
I'd like to know who you usually invite to your parties.
Free minds who are able to leave reality for an evening, who can taste forbidden fruit without prejudice. There is nothing that quite spices up life like these parties, assuming one is old enough and has worked many years for the good of one's country.
Oh, all true laborers, I see. Why did you invite Mr. Vogel as your special guest?
He's a pretty fellow. He's capable of surprising the public. He has a talent for saying words that no one else would wish to either say or hear.
I suppose I can't argue with that.
He is a free addition to the eccentricity of the party, which is fine by me, as long as it enhances my party.
What was Fabio like? His personality, his habits? Anything you can tell me?
He was the brightest star of my parties. Young, magnetic, and full of energy. I don't even want to mention his beauty. Otherwise, I'll be sobbing.
An expensive champion, I imagine.
His performances were flawless. He deserved his payment. Do you think he was murdered because of money?
Possibly. What about the other guests? Were they used to opening their wallets as well?
I wouldn't restrict my guests from anything. I'm sure Fabio received a few coins from others for his services.
Evidence. What evidence do we want to give him? Matista.
I've no idea about that.
Matista's profile. A witness statement.
Do you have any idea who tipped off the police to raid your mansion, Mr. Manchios?
Of course. It was you. I could even say you Sherlocked me in here.
Why you
A good
got
guess,
arrested?
but the wrong one. The fellow who did that was Mr. Pinchetti, your major domo.
What? Santos? But how could he even know? If he's not the murderer himself. The ungrateful swine. He has dared to besmirch my reputation.
Besmirch?
Not a very eloquent choice of words.
What should I call him then, since he's a snitch? Make him talk, Sherlock. I'm quite certain he knows more about the murder than he has told the police.
Besmirch. What a word. Key. Murderer's key.
You'd better ask someone else.
You bought an expensive pair of cufflinks for Fabio. Were they his price? Or were they a tip for an exclusive show?
It was pure business. Fabio escorted me a few times. I was merely showing my gratitude.
This pair cost a small fortune. You must be extremely grateful then. Tell me more.
You've thrust a knife in an exposed nerve, Sherlock. Yes, he was my protege and my beacon also. With my experience and his beauty, we could have achieved anything. I had faith in him. I would have made him.
It's not his goth phase. This is Prince of Darkness phase. Kurt Manchos had feelings for Fabio. Kurt Manchos has a washing routine. What? Hang on. Kurt Manchos carefully prepared himself for the depravity. Yep. So, Kurt Manchos is scrupulously clean. Manchos set himself up for debauchery. Kurt Manchos carefully prepared himself for depravity, or Manchos washed himself after the murder. Kurt Manchos cleaned himself of blood after Fabio's murder. Ooh, interesting. We need to talk to somebody about this evidence ticket. It's probably the police guy, I guess. Santos. We need to talk to Santos. Where's Santos? Not being funny, but what goes on in this prison? like really? Like complete police
This
brutality?
area is restricted.
Oh, really? Why is it restricted? Why is that restricted, eh? Wow, they're just all in here drinking.
Help me, please.
Excuse me? What? I'm not sure I know.
Archive? Hang on. Provide evidence.
I don't think I can tell you anything about this. I've nothing to say about this. You'd better ask me a question I know how to answer. You'd better ask me a question I know how to answer. I don't think I can tell you anything about this. I've nothing to say about this. I don't think I can tell you anything about this.
I'm just going to go through all of these
I've
until he
nothing to
actually
say
answers
about
me.
this. You'd better ask me a question I know how to answer. You'd better ask me a question I know how to answer. I've nothing to say about this.
Ask about Santos. Well, I have to provide evidence, don't I? Well, either leave or provide some evidence to him.
I've nothing to say
I want to
about
know where
this.
Santos is.
Have you considered Mr. Santos Pinchetti as a suspect?
The snitch? Have you seen him? I mean, my breath could knock him down. What's so special about him?
As a major domo, he has keys that open all the rooms, including the one to the crime scene. Could have testified only to circumvent suspicion, don't you think? We need to question him.
Right. I'll send our men to fetch him. Stay here. They brought him in, Mr. Holmes. Here's the key to interrogation room number 7. Mr. Pinchetti didn't even resist, our men said.
Thank you.
Didn't resist. Interesting. So he's got nothing to hide. Three, 5, 6, 7. Why are you stood in the dark, Mr. Santos?
Mr. Pinchetti, a pleasure to meet you. I'm Sherlock Holmes. I'm helping Constable Oswald.
I've already told him everything I know. I'm only a witness, sir. Everything's in my report.
And I've read it. You forgot to mention that you hold the keys to the room where Fabio was found. I need only to find if the crime was intentional.
But I need to return to my duties.
I doubt the house will fall without you, Mr. Pinchetti. Just be still for a few seconds.
Psoriasis or allergy? Patched holes, repaired multiple times. The guy's not wealthy. Dyed textile, colored more than once. Stepped in blood. That's interesting. That is interesting. See, this is a guy who's like frightened and poor and will do whatever his boss tells him. Don't think he'd do murder, but he might have helped to move the body or something. Has financial difficulties or a terrible miser. He's a head servant at the Manchos mansion. Despite being employed at the highest position within the household, he appears to be poor. His body shows symptoms of psoriasis. Mr. Pinchetti hides the damaged skin under layers of makeup. The majordomo's suit had multiple holes that had been patched or sewn. To renovate the suits, Mr. Pinchetti had dyed it. He could have accidentally seen it, except the room was locked from the inside. Unless he came in via the hidden walls, which is unlikely. Hello, how you doing? The other, I mean, he could have done it in order to get money. Like, he wanted the cufflinks and stuff, but they never got stolen. So if he was doing it for money, he did a bad job of it.
You are the major domo of a rich mansion, and you seem barely able to afford decent clothing. You hide, under heavy makeup, a skin disease that might be treated with more onerous but less harmful means. Do you have money troubles?
Do not have a lot of means. The pay is below what you might expect.
But you could easily change your job if your employer does not meet your elementary needs.
One can change his employer, that is true.
And the blood on your shoe, where does that come from?
I don't actually know. Perhaps from a guest.
Did you know Fabio?
Not personally. He was a frequent guest, and cleaning the mess after his performances was tedious. Mr. Manchios always had a role for him, and mainly the leading one. The parties were always Fabio-centric.
And Matista? Was she as popular as her partner?
Don't tell her I said this, but I do not think so. Mr. Manchios hired her only because Fabio refused to work without her. Mr. Manchios used to see her as a worker. She was tasked with entertaining the guests, unlike Fabio, who could pick and choose.
Okay. Pep, thank you for 17 months. Doing well, thank you. It's got a search symbol on it.
Please let me out.
Santos Mangetti informed the police because somebody told him to do so. Excuse me. Santos Pinchetti may have stepped in the blood while discovering the crime scene. So he goes in there, discovers the crime scene, and then thinks, oh, I won't go and tell my boss what's happened. I'll just run straight to the police. Seems a bit unlikely. Like, surely he would go to his boss straight away. As in Manchos. Kurt Manchos had feelings for Fabio. I don't know what that links to. Pinchetti missed the blood splatter. Santos Pinchetti failed to notice a blood stain on the side of his shoe while cleaning himself after the murder. Does he strike you as the murderer? He doesn't change job because he's afraid he might be framed for the murder. Well, if he did the murder, then you wouldn't tell the boss. Unless you're doing it because the boss told you to do it. Pinchetti accidentally stepped in the blood while discovering the crime scene. Vogel is held because of the latter. We need a bit more evidence, don't we? Anger for low pay and Fabio getting all the attention. He just seems a bit mild-mannered to be a murderer. I don't know. And if he's really poor, he had the opportunity to steal cufflinks. It would have made him sorted all of his money problems out. Yeah? Smacks Fabio over the head, stabs him, draws the sigil on the body with blood, washes his hands, puts the stuff in the wardrobe, walks past really expensive cufflinks and doesn't think, you know what? I could just put them in my pocket and all my money problems are solved. And then runs to the police. It just doesn't hang together. Doesn't hang together. Whoever did it didn't do it because they needed money, because they could have taken the cufflinks. This here with a symbol on it though. Search for location. Why has that still got that symbol on it? He also should have hid the cufflinks when going to police so it couldn't be Santos. It doesn't strike me as Santos. It could be the woman. It wouldn't be Manchos because he idolized him. Like he saw a future with him, so he wouldn't murder him. And it's not Pinchetti. Look at Santos's belongings. Oh, where's the evidence room?
Continue our investigation while I look for the papers. Continue our investigation while I look for the papers.
Well, you can look in the archives.
Can I ask you a question?
A solid question, sir, but I don't have the answer.
Something on the table in the same room as 7. That would make sense, because there's a thing that we need to search.
I recognize the key from the altar room among these.
So he had the key on him, right? A small note attached to the will. This is Kurt Manchos's will. Why would he have the will? Santos, my hopeful slug. You begged me to include you in the will, so I did. Here's my latest revision of the will. Kurt. Text the will under the note. Santos Pinchetti, a major domo of the Manchos mansion, receives a jar of mustache wax and a salt lamp that he might always remember his caring employer. Wow. Wow. Okay. So because of that, he murdered Fabio. He has a motive now. He has a motive. That's disgruntled employee motive right there. Is that what you give me for everything I do for you? Right. I'll take away your most prized possession, Fabio. Bang, done. So now he didn't do it for money. He did it to get back at his employer, Manchos. That single gift, I think, gives him the motive. There's still more searching to be done. There's still more searching symbol here. We missed something?
Mr. Manchios says that you begged him to be included in the heritage. Isn't that a little extreme, even for a major domo?
He's not only my employer, he's my uncle. And I'm his next of kin. The only one. Mr. Manchios flatly refuses to pay a family member. All I have to do is repay his so-called love. cleaning up the filth after perverts and decadents. He's imprisoned me. The best I can hope for is a new broom. That's why I wanted to have my part of the inheritance.
Is it that bad? You have a roof above your head, a salary, and the status of a major domo.
For God's sake. I'm forced to dye and stitch my threadbare clothes, and the holes in my shoes are painful. I'm ashamed every time a guest looks at me closely.
Why do you think your uncle treats you this way?
My mother, my uncle's sister, had me illegitimately. She died, and I was given the surname of one of the maids.
But you are entitled to some of the money that belongs to your family.
He thinks not. I was not responsible for my mother's death. I work hard, and he pays me nothing. I feed on the leftovers. While he wastes our estate's property on decadent parties, he paid Fabio handsomely and showered him with expensive gifts for their disgusting relationship.
He's not a happy bunny, is he?